Good morning. It is June 13th, all day long. My name is Bev. This is the Bev D Show. A little something we're doing here. Good morning. It's 7:06. I was making a couple of adjustments to my microphone and I had a little discombobulation, so that put me back a couple of minutes to figure out how to fix it. So it's a beautiful microphone. It's something that it's combined. I got it as a gift, and then it's just amazing. I can't even believe it. It is such a beautiful piece of equipment. I love my microphone. So anyways, good morning. Now that I had my little, they say do something every day that takes your breath away. This show takes my breath away every day. I just absolutely love doing it, and I love hearing from you. I love your emails. You guys are amazing. So thank you so much for letting me know what you think of it. And you can go to the Spreaker, the Bev D Show Spreaker site. You can like and follow it, and then every time I go live, beyond this time, every time I go live, then you get a notification. Also, down the road, for anyone that's following me, we're going to start, doing gifts and giveaways and all that kind of fun stuff. And in addition to that, the more likes and follows that I get, and this isn't an ego thing, this is getting the word out there kind of thing. I guess like places like iHeart and Spotify will pick it up and allow me to be there as well. So, anyways, and if there's anything that you're ever inspired by and you think a friend would like it or it might help them, then please do. Please share the show. So this morning, again, I had a couple of things I wanted to talk about, but then something else took over, and so I took my first sip of coffee, and it was amazing. And I think that first sip of coffee that you have, if you're a coffee drinker, there's none like it throughout the rest of the day. If you are hooked on coffee and you get that, I used to have a sign in my kitchen that said life's too short for bad coffee, and I have thrown coffee out before and started over because somewhere along the way somebody felt that was important enough to put on one of those beautiful word art signs, and I used to live by it. It's true. Why would you put something that's not necessarily good for you in your body if it didn't taste good? And we do that on purpose on account of that caffeine, and it's warm, and if you like milk and sugar in it, gives it that beautiful creamy colory look, and maybe a dash of cinnamon on fall days. That's very good in coffee, but I don't like to do it every day. It's like a treat. But that first cup, and then it just, being inside my head is quite a circus. Then I started thinking about all kinds of firsts. And, people walk around and they say, I don't want to be just a number, where I work, or I don't want to be just a number in the universe. And I think about our life is just full of numbers. And me being on time, us going to work, the speed limit, the everything on the road, everything. It's a route number, it's a highway, it's Route 56, it's 66, it's 76, it's whatever. We have our speed limits. We are measured in miles. Everything that we do when we cook, it's filled with numbers and ingredients and perfect measurements and things like that. We have quantities of family members. We have our weight that we measure, how tall we are, everything. Think about it. Everything is a number. I don't mind being a number, but I am much more. And so I do get it when people say that, but I started thinking about a really important number, and it's number 1, and it's coupled with a couple of letters called ST, so it's first, and you have the beautiful, pretty word of FIRST, and so I started thinking about all the firsts. It's anything. The first time, you had a taste of what is now what you call your favorite food. The first time that, your very first, as I said, sip of coffee. First kiss, that's usually monumental and pretty amazing. And I mean first kiss of your life, and whether you were in first grade and sneaking around, or whether you were going into your teens and finally getting up the nerve to get a first kiss from a boy or girl. Usually means a couple of things, and excuse me for that. Usually means a couple of things. It's either amazing or it wasn't so good, but it's pretty monumental, and think about if you're in business, if you opened up your brand new business, the first day of your business, your first dollar that you made, whether that was through chores at home or a lemonade stand, or, and then you go into sales and you think about your first sale. So if you're like me, I've been in sales all my life and I've sold everything. I think pretty much everything, a whole bunch of stuff, that people would use. I've sold cosmetics, jewelry, shoes, clothing, and I didn't just stand behind the counter. I really sold those clothes. Books, loved selling books. We sold a house on our own when we were in Chicago. That was a big deal. I've sold a lot of different things. I've sold time. I used to schedule appointments for guys. I was in the Akron area, and I used to schedule appointments for guys that, and there were a couple of women as well, excuse me. But for my team, they were in Pittsburgh, and there were about 26 of them, and I used to schedule appointments during the day for them to demonstrate what they called business machines, but we know them as the dreaded copier, salesman type thing. And what we were doing at the time is really changing things up, calling them business machines, calling them partners to your business, because, it was like hiring an employee. We looked at it that way because it was going to take up so much time. It takes up so much time off of folks because these machines can almost do everything except bake and slice bread, although maybe they'll come up with that one day. So Xerox, Comdoc, and I would call and schedule time. So I was introducing the idea of somebody coming out there and spending time with them. We set up a learning and sharing environment where we would learn about their business and we could share with them about our products and services. So I did that. Accounting services. Imagine that. How do you do that? You call up a business and you say that I want to have someone come out, and we had a salesperson, and they would go out, and I would schedule the appointment, and they would go out and sit with them and hopefully close a deal on us beginning to do their accounting services. Was she an accountant? No. But she was a salesperson for this firm. It was wild. There's a company out there doing that. Apparently, they're very successful. But I did that. Long distance services. Yep, that says how old I am. Paging, cellular, mobile phones. I've sold advertising. So I had a really good dose of selling a variety of things. And I do remember. If I think hard enough, I can think of the first time I scheduled an appointment, or the first time I sold a very expensive pair of shoes. And with that, I sold more than one pair of shoes. But there is that very first job, that very first one I'll never forget. And I was a clerk in a Hallmark card and gifts store. And my job was to make sure that all of the cards were sorted and set up, and we would get a shipment in, and then she would tell me exactly how she wanted them in the store, and then I would stock all the shelves and everything, and as time grew, she trusted me, and then she started showing me how to use the cash register. And that's what we called it then, because it actually made a dinging sound, it opened up, and all that kind of good stuff. So it was a lot of fun. I loved that job. But I couldn't help it. It's just in my blood. It's just who I am. It's what I do. And somebody would come in and they'd start strolling around the store looking for cards. And I would strike up a conversation with them, find out what they were looking for, and maybe they were coming in for the perfect sympathy card. And then that would cause them to share with me who died, what they died of, and 17 minutes later, I know pretty much about the whole family. And in the course of that time, while we're finding the perfect sympathy card and kind of going through cards together, I'm telling her, because I was the one that stocked the shelves and I knew my inventory, I would tell that person, hey, I know you're sad and you're getting this kind of thing, but you just got to see some of these funny cards that came in. And they're just for humor and they're just for fun. But, there really are some good ones over here. And we would go over and hang out in the humor section. And lo and behold, I took what would be a $5 sale and turned it into a $25 sale of greeting cards, for God's sakes. And that's how it's done. That's how it's done. I didn't know what I was doing. I was having a conversation. I was sharing with her something that I thought would be good for her on her behalf, would lighten her load. And in the meantime, there's this really pretty birthday card. And that really is the true meaning of engaging and selling and becoming a part of someone's, what their need is and what they're looking for. And sometimes they would come in the store and they would just have their cup of coffee and they'd just be looking around and they just wanted to look. And we would strike up a conversation and I would do the same damn thing. I'd say, you know what, while you're in here, they say the best thing to do is buy a bunch of cards, greeting cards, and then when something comes up, you have them. So I would take them over and I would show them, and we had candles. I think we had a few other things that I would talk about as well. But if you came into that store and you weren't expecting to buy something, there was a really good chance you were walking out with something. And it wasn't because I was obnoxious and pushy or anything. I just had a joyride. And it felt so good. And those were my first days of really getting that rush of knowing, like, you can't, unless you've sold something and you've done it also and you get paid for it for a living, it's hard to explain that rush, that adrenaline high, that just ridiculous feeling that comes, that you get paid for to feel that good because you are doing it for your work. You get paid to feel that good instead of, whether you're on drugs or you're addicted to some sort of substance. There's nothing that equates that really good first rush of the first sale of the day or the first sale of the week. And I wanted to spend some time on that because I remember the woman that I worked for in that store, she wasn't that nice. She was sort of mean. And I never understood how somebody that was in a business that involved people walking in, and in retail, man, it's all, I laugh and I tease people about the military because I think when you get out of high school, you should either go into the military or work retail because you do not know what you're going to get. And that was the fun of it. You never knew who was going to walk in. But going back to this owner, this manager, she wasn't nice. And she tried so hard to not be nice to me. Like she, straighten those cards and this is how it's done and hurry up and you should have been done with that and things like that until she realized her numbers. And here we go back to numbers. And it would be 9 o'clock and we would be closing out and I'm doing all the dusting and everything and she's closing out the register. And one day she came up to me and she just said, well, what's going on here? What are you doing? How are you doing this? My numbers have went way up. This is a card store. And she said, so your units, each thing that you sell is not that expensive. So how are you getting people to spend, $25 or $30 when normally they would spend $5? And I just looked at her square in the eye and I said, I talk to them. I have conversations with them. I want to learn about them and hopefully I can share with them about the store and the experience and I can leave them feeling a little bit better than when they walked into the store. Then I can share with them things that are going on and then what happens from that is then I'd get repeat customers and I'd have people just stick there because we were in a mall. We were in a mall in North Canton and I'd have people stick their head in the store and just go, hi, Bev, we don't need anything today, but we just wanted to say hi. And the manager started seeing that. And what it, what ended up happening